Let me show you Africa as an entrepreneur. Africa is a fundamental part of the global economy.
There's a way the world does business and there's a way we do business.
When we put our faith and our trust in God, He's the master strategist and always directs our path. So it's a vibrant, young market with lots of energy.
Along with our diverse cultures, provide us with rich insights into God and His creativity.
There are people building businesses. So come see that Africa.
Big decisions happen in boardrooms just like this one. Each of us have sat across from other leaders in our businesses and had to come up with a plan or strategy of some kind. It's part of running any organization. But how many of us have had situations where those plans get altered in some way? How do we act in those moments? Like the road to becoming a professional athlete, the journey of an entrepreneur is filled with twists and turns. With a plan, we can focus on what matters most while allowing the many distractions that we encounter along the way pass us by. We see something greater ahead, and we know what needs to be done to get there. With a plan, we can pursue a vision with clarity and precision. And instead of just reacting to whatever is thrown at us, whatever challenging circumstances we may face, we can proactively prepare for what it will take to reach our goal. Yes, it's good to make plans, but we should never be controlled by them. Whatever our goals and dreams, they should always be governed by God's will for us. His plan is greater than anything we could imagine, though what we imagine is often just a glimpse of what He has planned for us. How tightly will you hold on to our goals when God redirects our path? There is no shortage of temptation in business. We can often accomplish certain goals by taking shortcuts. Want to get ahead? Take a bribe. Want to maximize efficiency? Push your workers harder. These activities may help us accomplish our goals, but at what cost? This next video tells us the story of a leader who remained faithful to God's call even when it didn't quite go according to plan. Let's watch it together.
Virtually everything is broken in our healthcare system. The one thing that's still good are the people. We still have very good healthcare workers, which is why we have the massive brain drain.
We're losing a lot of doctors, we're losing a lot of nurses, a lot of healthcare practitioners in general. And you wonder, why do they need to leave the country to another country? And it's just because the system here is broken and it's not providing what they need to make them stay here.
Healthcare is expensive. I think it's expensive everywhere. But I think what makes it trickier here is everything we use to provide care besides the people is imported. So the cost of providing healthcare is extremely high and it's tied to the exchange rate. And then the usual issues that you would deal with running a business in Nigeria, power, clean water. So all those things are working against us.
The healthcare system needs a lot of revamping. We need to do a lot. At the end of the day, we keep saying the government, but also we need to also look inwards, talk to each other. Why do we need to go somewhere else to make their system better when we can make our own system better here?
Patricia was born with something called the Charge syndrome. She was my third child. She was born in 1994, the 25th of May, 1994. And she was born with about 6 or 7 abnormalities. So on her third day of life, I had to take her with me to the UK for life-saving surgery. She had to battle with a hearing defect. She had to battle with difficulty with eating. And so she had 5 surgeries in her life, some cosmetic, but more life-saving and quality of life improving. So she received healthcare in 3 countries, across 2 continents. And so when I started this practice, I wanted to correct the things that I thought were defective here. So I must say that she died as a complication of the one surgery she did in Nigeria. "140 people make up the team of Paleon, and Paleon is a hospital where we provide healthcare, everything in one place, and where we do it with passion."
It used to be a smaller setting back in the days. It used to be a clinic. Now it's a full-time hospital. Now we're attending to primary, secondary, and tertiary care.
Then it was mostly known as a pediatric hospital. But as time went on, we had different specialists come in, and then our care given to patients just increased.
So I realized that the only way I could scale my business was to fund it. It's very difficult to access finance in Nigeria, extremely difficult. So for the first 2 years, I will go to work in other hospitals to earn money to pay salaries in my practice. So it was very tough. But by God's grace, I stayed the course. And then suddenly the pandemic in 2020, and that was what changed the story of the hospital.
We're going to begin here with the outbreak of a mystery virus in China that now has the World Health Organization on edge. At least 4 people have died and hundreds more are sick, though there are concerns 5 times as many people could be infected. Tonight, Chinese health officials say the illness, which is a new strain of coronavirus, can be passed from person to person, stoking fears that it could be moving faster than it can be contained.
A lot of healthcare workers were cowering away from the pandemic and, decided firmly that they will not treat COVID. But I called my team, so we stood right out there, and I said to them, we don't have a choice. We will treat every patient who comes here. And I reminded them we all swore professional oaths. And I said there's no part of a professional oath that says you will treat one illness and not another. So we will treat everybody who comes through this door.
First 2 weeks, we didn't go home. Everyone was scared. If they knew what to expect, I'm sure they would have sent out people. But with the stay at home, lockdown and everything, everybody needed to get used to what was happening.
It was not easy. There was a lot of pushbacks. There was a lot of people saying, no, you shouldn't do it. Don't go for it. It's dangerous. Anything can happen. But we still pushed ahead. We still forged on, saying we must make a change and we must help people, because there were a lot of people that came and didn't have anybody to help them, and we were able to.
Luckily, Paleon, they pride themselves with standard. So going into the field, they had provided everything we needed. There was no compromise on quality. We had protective devices and everything. So if it was in terms of being scared or being infected, no.
I said, the only thing I'll promise you is that I will do everything in my power to protect you, and I will lead you from the front.
I admire Dr. Ngozi for the strength, because she came up and she said, we can do this, and we did.
So when your boss is someone who would not shy away from responsibility, you won't shy away. I've stayed quite long to know that if she wanted you to do something, she would get it done herself first, and then everyone would follow. It felt like you had the responsibility of these lives coming in and making sure they go home safe. When they got better and you see the family rejoicing to go home, it gave the satisfaction that we did something right.
And then the 24th of March, I got a phone call that they were going to refer a patient to us who required ventilation. The son of the woman on the ventilator had seen the notice I put out saying we were shutting down Ikeja branch. And he had to look after his mother at home for 13 days because as soon as the diagnosis of COVID was made, nobody was willing to admit her. So he had looked after her and only brought her into hospital when she required ventilation. So he said to me, why are you shutting your Ikeja branch? Why don't you convert it to a treatment center for COVID? And he said, I will help you, because he realized we were struggling financially here. But I didn't want there to be an exchange of money because I think the major thing I pride myself on is my reputation and my integrity. I didn't want anybody to say we gave her money, so I said we will give you a list of equipment we require, And then I remember that a couple of companies had approached me previously also at the beginning of the pandemic to say, if we have patients who require ventilation, will you be willing to take them in? And one of them had actually offered to buy me more equipment, but we didn't have the space in this building. So between the Ganglani family and IHS Towers, they equipped the Ikeja Hospital, and we started the COVID treatment center, for which we became very well known. And I think we treated more COVID patients than any other private facility in Nigeria at the beginning. So for the first 9 years, we struggled. We ran the business basically on sweat, blood, and tears. We were inadequately capitalized. But with the COVID pandemic and treating COVID, for the first time, we capitalized the business properly.
She has a heart, for people, a heart for God. And she's been able to put that together in her medical practice to the end that she's not all about the money. She wants to create solutions first.
In business, it's payment before service. In healthcare, it's different. And in Nigeria, some hospitals have tried to insist that you pay before they start taking care of you, but the conscience of Paleon just can't take that.
The vision of the hospital is to redefine healthcare in Nigeria. And I think to an extent we are considered the benchmark, as small as we are.
They know us for integrity, and they know us for getting it right the first time always. So we make sure that it is evidence-based. Everything is to the books. Okay, what is wrong with you? We will check, and it will be there it can be verified from any part of the world.
It's not a question of what I think or what I've done in the past, but what does the evidence show is the best way. I think that's the most important thing we do. Then we're very big on patient safety. So we have all kinds of equipment to ensure patient safety, like infusion pumps, patient monitors. So we don't leave things to chance. Everything that we require to provide, to make healthcare safer, we try to make it a very happy workspace, and it is a happy workspace. So a lot of hospitals are struggling with the high turnover of staff. We don't struggle that much, and they don't leave us high and dry. Not just doctors, all healthcare workers, they don't leave us high and dry. We also have more processes than other hospitals do. So we are run much more professionally than other hospitals. We have a governing board from the beginning. We pay better than average. We provide a lot of support for them, loans to pay their house rent and things like that. So we provide a lot of support. And then when the hospital prospers, and I think I must say this, we pay out bonuses.
One of the things we're known for is being all female. There's a lot of strong, capable, competent women in the organization, and we support each other. And life is difficult, enough on its own, just being in Nigeria and being a working mom, it can be a complete nightmare. And so one of the things that we do here deliberately is we support each other. So we get work done and still are able to live our lives as moms, as wives, and whatever else it is that we're doing.
We look out for each other. We make sure that everybody does good and is doing right or is doing well. We have like a family-oriented kind of setting here, making sure that we are doing our best and giving the best to our clients.
Excellence, we say, honors God and just impacts people. Yeah, it strikes a chord with people, and it makes them open up their heart towards you, and gives us a fantastic opportunity to be able to reach them. And I think that's what she's been able to do well.
Excellence is scarce in Nigeria, and I serve an excellent God, and I have an excellent leader in the Lord Jesus Christ. And so I'm just trying to be like my father. My work is beyond a job. It's my mission in life. And so I believe this is my calling, it's a vocation. And so this is my life.
While most of us won't be faced with that exact situation, we all have weighty, ethical choices to make with our businesses. At the same time, we have goals we want to accomplish, quotas to hit, and people to answer to. How do you respond when these two realities come together? Are you willing to bend on your ethics if it helps get you where you want to go? As faith-driven entrepreneurs, we can and should have well-thought-out plans. We should aim high for our goals, but should never let those goals get in our way of our larger calling to be obedient to God. We seek to contend with God as opposed to striving for our own will. Contending means I bring all that I am in obedience to God, but the outcome are His. It's a position of dependency and entrusting the results, timing, and funding, everything to Him. Striving is characterized by an internal pressure that I have to make this happen, in my energy, in the timeline I believe is necessary, and in many cases by the means that I think are best. One of the best ways to accomplish this is by ensuring that our deepest goals and desires for our businesses come from God. Make this part of your planning so you know how to respond when the hard questions or temptations come. And here's the reality. You'll be best prepared for this by rooting yourself in the one who controls all outcomes. We must allow Scripture to read us as much as we might read it. We must pray for God's wisdom to fill our lives and help us see our blind spots. We must surround ourselves with a Christian community that will come alongside us and call us out when we lean away from contending and towards striving. These rhythms help create a habit of surrender. We get used to putting God's will above ours. In the Gospel of John, Jesus says that sheep know their shepherd's voice. If we want God to shepherd us in our businesses, we have to create space regularly where we learn the sound of His voice. That way, when difficult situations arise, we'll be prepared to listen to them. Do you have dedicated time set aside for learning the sound of our shepherd's voice? Or are you so focused on accomplishing your plans and your goals that you forget to invite God into the process? Spend time in your group talking about this session and how it relates to the journey you're on. Open yourself up to learning from one another. Be open and honest with each other. What you get out of this time together will only be as rich and edifying as what you put into it. Blessings on your time.